Alrighty, welcome back, boys and girls. It's your main math man, Mr. Shank, coming to you live from Mayfield. In this video, we're going to be closing out the week on a strong note with this Friday warm-up. And it says this, what is the equation for the line graphed below? So you want to make sure you can find the y-intercept and then the slope, so that way we can form our equation for this linear function. Always highlight your y-axis to start it off. That way you can easily identify what that y-intercept is. So when we highlight it, we see that, hey, it hits that point on the y-axis where our graph of our line hits as well. So we're saying that's where they meet, and so that is the order pair 0b. Again, our y-intercept, we use the letter b for our y-intercept, and for this one, obviously, very simply, b is going to be equal to -3, and already halfway done. So again, make sure you're identifying the y-intercept as the order pair 0b, and b is -3. So now when we go to find the slope, again, that's always m, and for this we're going to say it's the change in y over the change in x. Two ways that you can find this. You can either use the ladder, which is like this. I would say I need to have another order pair where our graph of our line hits. And so I could say, hey, I see right here that it is directly in a corner, and so I know that this is going to be another order pair that is on that line. There's also another order pair down here. Either way, it does work out. So I'll do the ladder first. So I'll say, all right, what is that order pair? Well, we have the order pair 3 and then -2. And so we're saying, okay, if our value is, let's say, let me make sure I have this in here. If our value is -3 for b, if our value is -3 for b, so -3, I want to make sure I can see what's the change in y and what's the change in x. So if I'm going from -3 to -2, I'm increasing by 1. So I could say, all right, my change in y is +1. Then I can say my change in x, if I'm going from 0 to 3, I have to go 3 steps in the positive direction. And so that's why our slope, let me try that again, that's why our slope is positive. Again, you can identify that by just looking at it. So our change in x is +3, and so that means our ratio that we write for the change in y over change in x is 1/3. The other way you can do it is using the staircase. So we've done this before, where we have, and we move on and from the order pairs. So we say, all right, I have one point here, and if I want to go to this next point, I have to go up 1 step. So I have to go +1, and then to get over to that next order pair, I have to go over 3. So I'd have +3. I should be able to do that same exact instructions, meaning I have to go +1 up, and then I would have to go to the right 3 steps. I'd have +3. Again, that's our staircase to help build our slope. Again, if you wanted to use the ladder for the like we did in the first one, or you can use the staircase, it will still give you the same answer. Lastly, you want to make sure that you can use that slope-intercept equation to substitute in your values for your variables, meaning we said b is going to be equal to -3 and m is going to be equal to 1/3. So again, that slope-intercept form is always y equals mx plus b, where m is slope and b is that y-intercept. So our equation is going to look like this. It's going to say y equals 1/3 times x minus 3. So again, this is going to be the equation for our function. On the second one, it says this, it says which equation represents the same linear function or yeah, the same linear function and the table below. So it gives you a table, and then you have to choose between these four options which of these graphs would work out. So you can actually do these a couple ways. What I'm going to do, I'm going to check. Let me actually check first using that Desmos calculator. So let me see if I can pull that up real quick for ourselves. Type in that Desmos calculator, pull it up on it. There it is. And this one, and enable it so you guys can see. A little off. Breaking the immersion, but we're back in it. Alright, so the way I can do this is I can check and I can type in what my equation is, and then I can test to see if our ordered pairs work. But you have to make sure the ordered pairs work out for each of them. So I mean this. So I'm going to type in my first option. So I say, alright, I say y equals, and I have negative x plus 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check to see if I type in these x values. Again, our x values are always our input, and so we have to see, well, if we type in 1, what should come out is 7. So it gives you the table, and it has to match with these values. So let's check it out. So if I type in 1, our y value is 6. So since our y, let me highlight this so it is easier to see. Since our y value is 6, we know that it cannot be this one. So we know this one is not it. Alright, same idea. Let's now try, so I can leave that same x value because I'm going to still use it to check. So let me type in the next one. I suggest you are doing this with me, that way you get used to that Desmos calculator. So if I do 4x plus 3, I see that, all right, since my y value is 7, I know that, hey, so far so good. So the order pair 1, 7 is good. Let's plug in 3. My output is 15, so I know that that one's good. And then if I plug in 5, my output is 23, so I know it would be this equation. So since all 3 of those points are good, we know it works. Again, you have to make sure that it's all 3 points. So let me actually say that real quick. All the points, let me say all the ordered pairs are solutions. And what that means is this. When I plug in my x value, just like I showed, let me move that so you can see it. When I plug in my x value for what I have, my y value is what should come out. And since that worked, we know this one is correct. Again, the other way you can do it is like this. I can say, all right, let me throw that to the side. And let's minimize that. Other way you can do it is you can identify what the slope is, and that way you can pick and choose what you have. So our change, as always, it's going to be change in y, so this is going to be plus 8. So from 7 to 15, it's plus 8. And then our change in x, we have, this is plus 2. So that means our slope m, let me change that out, our slope m is going to be equal to always the change in y over the change in x. And so we said, well, our change in y was 8. I have 8 over 2 because my change in x was 2. And so since that is my ratio or my slope, I know that that can simplify it to be m equals 4. So since this is, again, this is slope, so make sure you can, even though this is terrible handwriting because I'm using a mouse, that's okay, we still know what we're talking about. So since our slope is 4, the only one that has a slope of 4 is choice B. Again, the other ones were -1, +8, and positive 1. And since those are not what we're looking for, we know we can only select B. Be sure to ask questions for yourself and super slam that subscribe button.